Hello and welcome to Lauren's Travels. I am on the hunt for some 50s and 60s history here in Central Florida, and my first stop is the Southgate Shopping Center, which is the filming location for Edward Scissorhands. So if you've seen the movie Edward Scissorhands, you'll remember this is the area where they had the hair cuttery and salon. This arch is 70 feet tall and it was built in 1957. So it's got a lot of history for sure. I have been rewatching a lot of Mad Men. It's one of my favorite TV shows. This is probably my third time rewatching it. But the 50s and 60s are the time eras that I'm a little bit fascinated with, mostly for the fashion and for the changes and everything that was going on during that time. Not like I'd want to live in those times. We have it much better off today. So I thought, you know what? I'm gonna try and find some 50s and 60s classic historic buildings or places where something important happened in the 50s and 60s. So my first stop is here at the Southgate Plaza. It's still a shopping center, so it is a little bit busy. There's a Publix right down past the big arch. So I'm not going to stay in this area for too long, but I did want to come out to Lakeland, which is about an hour from Orlando, to kind of see this iconic archway. And I did like the movie Edward Scissorhands growing up, so it's kind of cool to see a filming location as well. Kill two birds with one stone. But let's go on to our next location. We're back in Orlando. This time we're at the Plaza Live, which opened in 1963. It used to be a movie theater, but it has since 1992 changed. And now it's just kind of like an actual theater. The Orlando Philharmonic performs here. And they also sometimes have plays. Unfortunately, the last big news from the Plaza Live was when Christina Grimmie from The Voice was tragically murdered here. I want to say that was the day before Pulse happened, and it was unfortunately a big shock to our community, and then Pulse happened, and it hasn't really felt the same since. But I've never been to this theater. I would like to go maybe one day to see the Philharmonic. That would be a different experience. But the only thing that's really from the 60s here still is the sign, the iconic sign at the top, and it's the only sign in our city that's still like that and designed like that. And if you want to stay true to the 50s and 60s, right across the street from the plaza is Beefy King, and they have roast beef sandwiches and things like that. They are from the 60s as well. So you got a lot of history right here on this street. The Plaza Theater sign that's right on top of the building was actually assembled in San Diego and shipped over to Orlando to be placed on top of the building. And it's been there since 1963. And I am back home now, but the adventures continue. I am going to be checking out the Jack Kerouac house, and he is a famous author. His book On the Road became very popular in the 60s, so let's go check it out. And now I'm in the area of College Park, which is very close to downtown Orlando. And this is the Jack Kerouac house. As you can see, he lived here until 1969. And yeah, there's a lot of history here. He wrote the Dharma Bums here, which was one of the famous books. And it's a historic site, so I'm gonna get a private tour today, and I did come prepared with gloves and mask, so I'm ready to take this tour. He's got this beautiful tree right in front of his house too that has all the Spanish moss hanging down. Must have been here when he was here, because it looks like it's been here a while.
So this is the house where Jack Kerouac lived. In 1955 and 56, this is where he lived when On the Road came out, and it's where he wrote the first draft of his follow-up novel, The Dharma Bums.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when we say Jack lived in this house, what we mean is he mostly didn't live in this house. He lived in a very small section in the back of the house. Before On the Road came out and made him a superstar, he was a person of modest means, and so he and his mother lived in the area in the back, which we can go take a look at.
Sure.
So this is where they lived. So there was a very small apartment and one bedroom.
Wow. So was everything else added on, or did other people live here as well?
This was like a rental unit.
Okay.
So there would be, the residence up front, and then in the back here, this is where Jack lived.
Okay.
And we know most of this due to Bob Kaling, the journalist, who was really excited when he found out that Jack Kerouac had an important connection to Florida, and not just, he was here one night. No, he lived here. And it's kind of like one of the underreported stories of the history of the Beat Generation and what Jack was up to, and largely also what his mom was up to and where she wanted to live, because he and his mother were really close.
Yeah.
So, this is the actual chair that he apparently watched a lot of baseball on TV on.
Nice. This is his chair.
How does it feel?
It's comfy. It's like my grandpa's chair.
So normally the house is not open to the public because it is a writer's residency, and
Yes.
4 writers a year get to spend 3 months just living in Jack's house, and they get to write. And so that's the main focus of the house. But we do love to have public events because we do want this to be a public space when it's not a private space for the writer. Yeah, so the front part of the house much more spacious, and sometimes the writers prefer this part of the house because sometimes they say they feel Jack a little bit too much.
Yes.
Backing into the house. We know that Jack and his mother lived in the back, and when Jack would say, go hit the bars, sometimes he would, there was an orange grove behind this house at the time.
Okay.
He would go sleep under an orange tree sometimes.
Nice.
He felt like he would end up stumbling in and waking up his mother. He would just go to sleep under a tree.
Nice. And this street is right on the corner, so it's really easy to find. It's in the College Park area of town, close to downtown, I would say. And the house is getting some renovations on the inside. I do see that there's like a little side entrance right there. And most of the other houses around here are newer, so it's kind of cool to see this one. It has been preserved and kept. And the man that gave me the tour, his name is John. He told me, he's one of the board members here, and he told me that the tree that I really like here is actually protected by the city, so no one can chop it down. It's a historic part just as much as the house is. So if you guys are ever interested, please make sure to check out their website and donate if you can. I think it's really awesome that they're helping creative writers come up with ideas and stories and poems and whatever they want to make here to their heart's content. It's a good way to preserve the history of the house as well as Jack Kerouac himself. Of course, we can't forget about Magic Kingdom. Walt Disney started planning and buying land around Orlando in the early 60s for his next theme parks after Disneyland's success in the 50s. A press conference held in 1965 confirmed Disney was coming to Central Florida, which in turn made several more businesses locate to the area as well. Thank you for joining me on this mid-century journey. Be sure to check out the links below for the Kerouac House if you are interested in learning more. Leave me a comment down below on what iconic 50s and 60s structures or history is in your town. Subscribe if you haven't already for more Florida adventures, and I'll see you next time here on Lauren's Travels.
The city's new look adds excitement to the old warmth with which we invite you to visit us and experience the city's grace, charm, and multicolored beauty for yourself.